Well, I've been on farming ever since I was a little kid. We got about 900 acres here. It's a combination of a beef operation and some row crop. We used to be a dairy farm, but we've got out of the dairy business and got into the beef business in a big way now. Our farm, and on the beef side of it, is more of a background and steer operation. We took our old dairy facilities and converted it over for the beef cattle, and we run somewhere around 400 to 500 head of heifers and steers that we background. We'll carry them up to 800 to 900 pounds, somewhere around that, and sell them at different places. And sometimes we'll actually send some to a feedlot in Kansas out there and finish them out up to slaughter weights. The majority of our feed is grown. We'll chop a lot of silage. We chop haylage, wheat, ryegrass. We'll cut some corn silage every year, and we shell some corn. We'll grind a little corn, mix in with our feeding operation. We buy a lot of supplement to get our ration, balanced out real good, so the cattle will do good. We buy a lot of our feed supplements through the Lawrence Farmers Co-op, and they provide us a good service. They're always able to get us the feed when we need it. We buy a lot of our fertilizer and seed and stuff through them because they've always been good at working with us and providing what we need. A lot of our farm is, our cattle land is hills and rolling ground. And we have to go in there and put fertilizer. Basically, the only way you can apply it is dry fertilizer, spreading it on top of the ground. Our crop land, we're on a strictly no-till crop land right now. So that's another thing. We use all dry fertilizer with it, and we put it down before planting. In the past, we've gone through and top dressed. When the corn's starting to tassel and stuff, add a separate application of some urea or something. In 2010 was the first year we was introduced to NutriSphere, and we was real hesitant about trying something like this because there's so many snake oil salesmen out there. You got to worry whether or not this money's going to really return. And we felt like we got a really good return on NutriSphere this year. We had some of probably the best pastures. Our pastures stay greener longer this year than probably they ever have since we've been farming. In 2010, May 1st, I know a lot of people are aware of the Nashville flood, which we obviously got a lot of that water here, and we got flooding here. And I had some corn that I had planted right at the first week of April. And it was tall enough that the water still covered it up, and it was 40 acres. And we was worried that we was going to lose all our fertilizer. We ended up losing the corn. We had to replant the corn. We replanted in about the second week of May, I guess, is when we replanted that field. And normally when we replant corn like that, we go in and put down about 50% of the fertilizer we initially put down because we figure we've lost a lot of it due to the flood water taking it away, taking it too deep in the soil and stuff like that. Well, this year we was told that with the NutriSphere, you probably wouldn't have that problem. We was real skeptical about it, so we still planted without putting any fertilizer down, adding any more. Then whenever the corn got a little over head high, we went in there and pulled tissue samples and sent them off to check the nitrogen level, just because we figured, well, we could still go in and top dress and just increase our amount we've top dressed with over normal. And actually, it showed that the nitrogen level was high enough we didn't even need to top dress any. The corn, we lost a lot of our chemicals. We had high pressure with bird cucumbers. Anybody that lives in creek bottom land knows what bird cucumbers are. And they about choked the corn out. Of course, the corn is too tall at that time to spray whenever they start growing. And even with all that high pressure and stuff, we still yielded over 175 bushel corn off that field without having to top dress. It convinced me this year that I'm a believer in NutriSphere. I'll be using it from now on. We usually pull soil samples every year on our most of our ground, especially our crop ground, our pastures also. We do some. And we usually try to follow the fertilizer recommendations, from year to year. It changes from year to year because, as each year the crops use a different amount of fertilizer coming out of the ground, so it's not going to be the same every year. And we rely a lot on soil samples, and we will do whatever basically the soil sample tells us we need to do for the crop we're planting. For our pastures and stuff, we'll still put down some potash, and of course this year we put down more micronutrients as far as your sulfur and boron and stuff like that this year. Normally we don't put down much of that, but I feel like that was a benefit also. I would tell them I'm sold on it. I mean, if somebody was asking me about the NutriSphere, it's definitely something we're going to apply every year, unless something comes out with something that just magically worked a whole lot better than this. I just don't see any reason not to use it. You know, it paid for itself easy. Well, the reason we work with Lawrence County Farmers Co-op is they will follow up on, you know, if you have trouble and you need something, they got people they can send to us to help us and, you know, work out any problems we have in the future.